Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. And if you guys could subscribe, that'd mean a lot to me. If you guys could like the video, that's cool. That helps out. If you guys want to comment nice or mean things, have at it, Hoss. I don't read them anyway. But anyway, thanks for checking us on out, everybody. Mike McDaniel holding court today. They had their AFC coaches breakfast, which is quite a scene. Everybody gathered around a table, getting their questions in. But about half of his press conference today was addressing Tyreek Hill. Now, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Tyreek Hill going with his emoji tweets and putting the peace sign on stuff. Now, Tyreek Hill did tweet again today to add to the story. He put a comment on the NFL Rumors Twitter account and said, NFL rumors, Tyreek Hill reportedly would okay if he had a hashtag, it would be okay if the Dolphins traded him to a playoff contender. They put playoff contender in all caps. And then Tyreek Hill commented on this, and he wrote, LOL, another false narrative, which, there you go. Makes me feel like now all the stuff that he was putting out there, he was trying to throw cold water on, where he's kind of laughing at the would you be open to trading Tyreek Hill if we're going to reverse what he did yesterday and see where it's at. It seems like he was in a spot where what he commented on yesterday, would you be open to trading Tyreek Hill, puts the smiley emoji. He's almost scoffing at it, if we're going to dissect this and continue to go deep in this. And then on the comments that Tyreek Hill, the other tweet about who could you see getting traded by Tyreek Hill, he putting the peace emoji, I'm out. I don't know if that's just, off this trade rumor or whatever, but it does feel like all that stuff, like we thought, you can't put too much stock into it, but we will react to it. Now, as I'm recording this, Tyreek Hill actually did post a video. I don't know, I guess his Instagram, his Snapchat. But Tyreek Hill has basically said that if you say something about him on Twitter, he's basically got no choice but to troll. He said, I got to say this. I love being a Dolphin with all my life, but if you say something on Twitter, I have no choice but to troll. Which... sure, I guess, dude. I don't know. Like, you do have a choice. I mean, you don't have to troll. But I understand. It is his calling. He is elite at it. He's not just an elite football player. He is elite at stirring up on Twitter. There is no doubt about that. If that had a Madden rating, he would be a 200. It wouldn't even be a 99. Like, it would be through the roof. You couldn't even rate his ability to stir up on Twitter. He's amazing at it. It's the Cheetah. And the Cheetah is the Dolphins' most he's their best player, and he's right there with Tua for their highest profile player, and certainly is a lot more verbal on social media than any of their other players as well. So Mike McDaniel addressed this with the media today, and he went a lot of ways. I think he was mostly positive. He talked about the injury being good. He says that, I will say, he's saying that Tyreek Hill has put a ton of work with the new wide receiver coach. He's been in the building more than any year that he's been there. He's seeing him do the work behind the scenes. That there's been a ton of Cheetah being present at the Dolphins facility. So I thought all that stuff was pretty positive stuff. And that he was actually also asked about the idea of him being captain again. And if Tyreek Hill was voted captain, what would he think of that? And he actually thought, that would be pretty cool, in his Mike McDaniel way, because it kind of shows you that the scars of what happened, the players feel like he's learned from that and he's moved on to another place. So it really doesn't feel like Mike McDaniel publicly is putting a lot of weight on what happened at the end of last season, as far as like that being Tyreek Hill's defining moment. And that, Tyreek Hill saying that he would welcome a trade. Look, he's been on the record saying he doesn't want to get traded. He doesn't want to go anywhere. In the post-aftermath, Drew Rosenhaus has been out there saying he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's happy being a Miami Dolphin. Even though it did kind of feel like Drew was taking some digs at Tua at the end of the season when he went on McAfee's show. But Mike McDaniel was asked about the idea of him and Tyreek Hill being a Miami Dolphin. Here's a little clippy clip from that.
I mean, I can certainly say with certainty that at this certain moment,
by the way, he's back, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that's there. A lot of things can happen in the National Football League, so you throw absolutes out there, and then I'm hey, you said this. I mean, but yeah, we are fully planning to move forward as a better version of our relationship with Tyreek and the Miami Dolphins. So I have no reason to think otherwise.
There you go. No other reason. Now, again, he does leave himself some wiggle room because, hey, if a trade does happen and something does come along, you never say absolutes. We've seen plenty of guys get vouched for and plenty of guys be put out there that have put the Miami Dolphins or have put teams in a place where they're like, oh, yeah, we think the facts have changed. We weren't going to go in that direction, and then all of a sudden, boom, this deal was offered to us, and we couldn't say no. So that kind of feels like where McDaniel's going at with that. And I do feel like, I don't think the Dolphins are going to trade Tyreek Hill just for a bag of donuts. Like, I don't think that he's just going to be, oh, man, somebody's offering him $40. He just takes the headache off our hands. No, he's still a really awesome player. You have to make this worthwhile. If the Dolphins could find some way to reposition themselves in a better budget standpoint and feel like they could get more production after investing a lot into their wide receivers, then that's one thing. But on the other end of it, they got to figure out how to have a year where they don't allow Tyreek Hill to be underutilized. Like, you do have a guy who was voted the best player in the league by his peers, the most unstoppable player in the league just a year ago. He's broken your franchise record twice. And it did feel very much like Mike McDaniel relented on like, shucks, people are taking it away. We can't force it anymore. And of course, you also have to put it with the caveat that yes, the quarterback was out and they were in a disastrous situation. But I do think that McDaniel's being genuine while he's still leaving some margin for error there. It's not all the way arms wrapped around like, oh my God, yes, we would never turn our back on the Cheetah. But I do think that the good news is he feels like Tyreek is putting his actions even ahead of his tweets. He's been in the facility a ton. He's been around. He feels like he's doing all the things that are going to make him, I believe the term, like he was making it sound like, more reliable. Which I do think says something about Tyreek, because look, Tyreek is an awesome player in this league, and to put yourself in a position where, the coach is thinking you're going to be in a better situation. Now, mind you, he also may be around the facility because he's got a rehab. He's got an injury that he's got to deal with. So they got to, I'm sure, monitor that as well. And the Dolphins do have a pretty badass facility, and that might be the place too. But I think that there's got to be a level from Tyreek Hill too that's got a level of pride, right? Like he said, I'm not a loser. I don't like losing. And so, like, what are you going to do about it? There is going to be an element, I think, for the first time, Dolphin fans are even questioning him. Like, there's plenty. You see the mentions of the people saying, hey, you quit on the team. People aren't believing in the Cheetah as much as they used to. Is there a letdown? Is there going to be some kind of way where he's not the same guy anymore? I don't know. But this whole team is really facing, other than Chop Robinson, like who's and Zach Sealer, like who are the guys who aren't facing pressure on this team with what they got to bring to the table? Jalen Waddle the same way. Jalen Waddle didn't live up to his billing last year. He was not he was another guy who got a heavy, handsome salary last year. Didn't pay off. Tua, the same way. The year that you get paid, everybody's iffy about it. Boom, we got you throwing your head into Damar Hamlin for no damn reason and getting yourself taken out. And then, damn, what do you know again? Running for third downs and getting crunched like a pretzel. Look, in a lot of ways, last year couldn't have gone worse for Miami. And there are some elements that like want to give you there are some parts of you that want to give the team the benefit of the doubt. Like you want to feel like, hey, these guys were building something good. On the other end of it, though, you just look in this division and you look at Buffalo, and it felt like, hey, man, this was the year you were supposed to be able to catch them. And no, like it still didn't happen. You still weren't able to get it done. So like, when the hell is that going to change, and who are going to be the people who can make that change happen? And for right now, yeah, you would think Tyreek Hill is going to be a part of that and going to be one of the guys who could make that difference. And so it is good that Mike McDaniel's out here championing his best player and face of the franchise and saying like, no, guys, he's doing the things. And we've talked and the actions are there, and that if his teammates voted him, that's all good news. Great. That's all fantastic. That's all great stuff to hear. Is it all the way done? I think Mike did as good a job of throwing cold water on it as you could in the situation that we're facing. But, I think that this is one of those things, like, until training camp starts, there's still always, I think, going to be something in the back of my mind where I'm like, I'm not quite sure that it's there. And I say this is somebody who's like, I love watching Tyreek Hill play football. I do. I like when Tyreek Hill is at his best. There's nothing like it and especially in the history of Miami Dolphins offensive football for the last 25 years. It's been a while since there's been somebody like him, that dynamic. To say the Dolphins have the most captivating offensive weapon in the league, or one of. But yeah, there's still some making good that he has to do, I think, with the coach, with the fan base, with the front office, all that stuff, because of the way last year ended.